The people actually got a real good glimpse at the soul of the House of Delegates and what makes this place tick in a way that is disproportionate to liberty. And it was some really, truly sad votes on some really quality amendments that the people of Maryland would certainly all stand up and say, yes, that is a good amendment. That's something that we'd like to see done in this state. That if we have to tolerate such a bad stripping of our rights and our abilities as Marylanders, at least some of the amendments tonight would have made that a less onerous task. And I'm afraid, I'm ashamed tonight when I think of some of the bills like amendments to allow police officers off duty to be on our school campuses. Are you kidding me that we have to qualify that?
You want a law enforcement officer talking to a teacher about his child rape with a gun on his hip. We're talking about duty. We're not in uniform. We're talking about duty. Do you want this person to be able to go to a high school basketball game or football game where emotions ride high with the ability to intimidate the crowd and they're all doing with the ball from the left on their side? I think that we know that we want to protect people by creating this side. We're overstepping our boundaries, and we need to actually resist this amendment.
I like to think that the governor has more sense than that, but quite frankly, he could have made a phone call and told him to take that as a friendly amendment. His people were listening to the whole thing. They have access to those leaders all the time on the floor. They can make those calls, but nobody did. Nobody called and said, take it as a friendly amendment. Nobody made that common sense decision and phone call. And so what you wind up with is ridiculous arguments from people trying to justify that which is indefensible. And there's no way. So consequently, that makes it even worse. It's even worse. I'd rather they just not said anything than to try and justify it, acting like police officers are somehow going to be acting out of control in a school. It was an insult to every law enforcement officer in the state of Maryland, and I hope that people see that and understand that that's what's going on. And I think that we even have to argue about that's not something that they would automatically go ahead and put in that bill, is indicative of the problems that we face in Maryland. As we move forward in this state, if folks do not give us some more folks up here that are not a part of the Democratic supermajority, we're in a lot of trouble going forward. And what this tells me is that 2014 is a line in the sand. And if people don't take this as a wake-up call and at least send some more Senate districts back up here in the red, as opposed to the way that it sits right now, we're not going to be able to change the liberty issues, and they're going to keep going in the opposite direction from freedom. And this state's going to wind up paying a catastrophic cost as we lose more and more of our freedom as Marylanders. And I am so disappointed by that tonight. I know tomorrow's vote will be a pattern of what we saw tonight. No matter how many amendments we try and offer, no matter what the final vote tally is, freedom's going to take another death nail tomorrow in the state of Maryland. The thing that you can do is, and this is the other part of it, I'm always telling people when I get done is saying, take back your state. Marylanders, take back your state. And somebody said to me, how do we do that? We do it in the polls, and we do it through process. So, there are some folks that have gotten into this, and they're looking at those donor lists of these people in these districts. And they're going after those people, those businesses that give them thousands upon thousands of campaign contributions. And they're saying, you know what? I'm not going to give this to you. People that are saying, look, you know what? I have voted for Democrats my whole life, and this is what I get. This is what the machine does in Annapolis. You look up on that board and you see those votes against common sense stuff. That's because the machine said this is the way it's got to be. So until you change that dynamic up here and you break up that supermajority, there is no incentive for them to come across and even work on us on a common sense issue. When we're passing big legislation, it ought to be done by not only a geographic majority of people represented, but a partisan demographic that reflects true bipartisanship in this House. Because that's what omnibus legislation should look like. It means it makes sense for everybody. And when your goal is only to get to 71 votes on the board in a House like this, where even there you have a supermajority, you are so flawed in your thinking that is not good leadership. That's the problem that Maryland faces right now. If we're going to take it back, it's got to start next year. As a matter of fact, it's got to start tomorrow. And people have to start realizing that if they're not going to put the time in to call and make those kinds of phone calls to let those business owners know, hey, you know what, I don't appreciate, your support of candidate X. If that's not what changes the game for us, then the only thing that people need to do is reconsider where they live. Because if this state can't be taken back after the arrogance of the last couple of years under the O'Malley Brown administration, then it'll never be taken back.